What is up, hotties? Welcome back to another Stay Hot live stream today. We thought we would just talk about NFL free agency. It's been the biggest thing going on, and it's been crazy. And it's what, you guys have been asking us on Twitter to do. We told you the last episode was going to be a banger, and everyone was like, oh, why don't you guys just go live during free agency? You guys were right. We should do that. So that's what we're doing. Well, before we just talk about free agency, Matt, Theo, how are you guys doing on this beautiful Tuesday afternoon? And when I say beautiful, Matt, am I lying?
It's a pretty nice day out. I agree.
Nothing to smile about in my life. Aaron Jones is a Viking.
Aaron Jones simply said this. Sam Darnold or Jordan Love?
I did not fight the Aaron Jones over Dalvin Cook battles in 2017, 2018, and 2019 in the high school lunchroom, only for this to happen.
What do you mean? You won. Aaron Jones replaced Dalvin Cook.
Not like this, man.
You win, man. I don't know what to tell you. I do think it's funny that, I was thinking about how all you talk about is how good Aaron Jones is, and he is really good. And then you guys go and cut him and pay a big contract to Josh Jacobs.
They never do what I want, man. But I mean, it's whatever. I think Gutekunst has earned the benefit of the doubt. I think that he's a pretty elite GM. And the Packers are no strangers to cutting players maybe a year too early or a year early, or getting rid of them maybe before other teams would. Jordy Nelson left early, Clay, Rodgers. It's pretty rare that these guys retire as Packers, even if they're franchise legends. So I don't know if they want to, it sucks. Aaron Jones is probably my favorite player of the last couple of years. Yeah. And Josh Jacobs, maybe over the next 2 years, will be better than Jones, considering the age gap. So, I mean, I'm willing to hear them out. I think they've earned my trust that they know what they're doing and that they're a good organization. But it just sucks to see him, especially going to the Vikings. But I was glad to see that Chicago had signed Swift for way more money before Jones hit the open market. At least,
oh my god,
everything sucks but that about the situation. So anyway, that's my.
So Theo, you're in hell right now. Open. Matt, I imagine you're probably doing worse.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Brian Burns going for a second and a fifth, and then
Luvu walking, and
Luvu sucks.
They kind of overpaid for mid guards, did they not?
Yeah.
So it hasn't been the greatest team building these last 2 days, I feel like, but I could be wrong.
It's not great. I'm not gonna do a whole it's over shit. I mean,
it's what the people want, man.
Yeah, the Burns the Burns shit was a mistake a while ago, not now.
Right. Yeah.
I think look. Do I think their moves are good? In my heart, no. I know exactly how the Panthers have the most expensive offensive line in the NFL right now. It will not play like that, almost certainly. It feels like. Right. And even if it plays well, which I think it could, I guess I need to go watch more Robert Hunt and Damian Lewis. Neither Dolphins or Seahawks fans seem to think that it was the end of the world that they didn't pay that money.
I think they're kind of replacement level for better.
I generally agree. It's and I just look at the Panthers roster now and I'm like, okay, take out Derek Brown. And it's we are spending an insane amount of money on guys who are just not at the top of their position. And eventually that comes back to bite you. Where are the top tier guys on this roster? Just non-existent at this point. It's just Derek Brown and pretty much nobody else. Maybe we could say maybe JC Horn or something.
Yeah.
Maybe, but he doesn't play. And I don't think he's quite proven enough to say that. Right. And it's just... it just feels like their plan was, we're going to go spend top dollar on, sub best of their position guys. And that stinks.
Yeah. Well, there's just so much to cover, and we have an hour. I don't want to talk about the Browns because all they've done is
I
sign
don't have
Jameis.
anything. Yeah,
So I don't.
they've done nothing.
He'll be a backup.
They haven't done anything.
Any moves that
I think we should.
you?
I would kind of like to start with just the whole quarterback shabacle. Kirk Cousins goes to Atlanta, and that someone brought, I can't remember who brought it up. It was either on Twitter or TikTok about how, interestingly enough, that actually gives Minnesota a very clear shot to trade up. Like there's no one ahead of them.
Nice.
There's no one ahead of them that like really has any incentive to anymore.
What do you mean?
Like the only team ahead of them that would have traded up for a quarterback would have been Atlanta. But now that they have Kirk, they don't really need to. And the only other teams that would need to trade up to get a quarterback are now behind them. So they would need to
Giants?
put together. The Giants are the only other ones. Yeah.
I also think it doesn't matter, right? I mean, if someone's behind them, it doesn't make a difference if it's.
Well, they just have to give up more.
Up. Yeah, but that doesn't mean that they can't do it.
I think what has shaped up better for the Vikings. I do think I agree with you to some, like the Falcons being off the board for trading up does help the Vikings. And I also think like now Jaden Daniels is the betting favorite to go number 2. I do think it is shaping up nicely for Minnesota to get Drake May. I don't know if it happens, but I do think I understand like someone else could do it too. The Giants could do it. The Vikings could do it just because Atlanta. But Atlanta was a big player in all this. So I do think that it is shaping up nicely for the Vikings. They got Aaron Jones as well. I think Grenard is an ascending player. That was a good signing too. I like their offseason so far. Unfortunately, I don't like that. I like it, but I like it.
Unfortunately,
yeah, I think it's all right. I think their odds are still okay. Like, if teams do what they should do, Drake May will not be available for a trade up at 3. Would be my thought process. And I mean, is there any reason to believe that the Patriots still shouldn't take a quarterback?
If May's on the board, they should take him. I think.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, obviously it's a ways out. I think that it's still very possible it goes. It's locked in at Williams, May, Daniels, but it's certainly not impossible that something else happens, especially when Daniels is the betting favorite to go number 2. I liked
the Darnold signing. I liked the Darnold signing in the sense that obviously they don't know if they're going to be able to move up and get one of those guys.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to like, what is the perfect balance between somebody where you feel like your season isn't like totally done if that doesn't happen, but then they can also like be a bridge quarterback and it's not a big deal, or they can just be the backup and it's not a big deal. And I think Darnold falls into that range, and it's only a 1-year deal, so you're not locked in for any amount of time. He's somewhere in that like 30th to 40th best quarterback in the NFL range, I think. He had stints even with the Panthers where it's like, some fans, not saying they were right, but some fans are like, honestly, Darnold might be the way to go for a while. I think on a super stacked Vikings offense, he'll probably have a decent stretch if he gets a chance to start
better
next
than Mullins.
season. Yes, it's like certainly a huge upgrade from Mullins.
And I appreciate the Vikings taking the leap. I just talked about Baker, and honestly, Baker's contract isn't that bad, and I kind of regret going on such a rant about it. But still, I think
I'm glad you've turned the corner, Theo.
I still think that it doesn't.
Welcome
really
to the dark
matter,
side.
But I appreciate the Vikings taking the plunge instead of feeling like, well, if we don't sign Kirk, what could we possibly do?
I also think signing Kirk is a bigger risk because he's coming off the Achilles. And how old is he? What is he, 34, 35?
Yeah, I mean, it is a big risk. I think that it was smart to not, and I think he's better than Baker. So obviously he got paid.
I won't argue with you there.
But I just think a lot of these teams are too afraid of the quarterback abyss and hold on tight to someone who's mid, and the Vikings didn't do that. And I think that I think that it's not a lock that they get May, but it seems like they might be going for that type of trade, and I appreciate that. So we'll see. Jerry Jones sleeping. Yeah, the Cowboys have done nothing. They have done nothing besides get rid of Tyron Smith. I think that's pretty crazy. Like, do they have a defensive coordinator at this point? Not really. Do they have how many good linemen do they have at this point too? I don't like that the Cowboys are just sitting on their hands, keeping McCarthy. I'm not moved. Yeah.
No, it's hard to expect majorly different results for them.
It is not their year, finally. Nico will not predict them to win the league next year after this offseason.
I gave up predicting them to win it all.
I think the big thing is that there's just been so many like kind of sizable running back deals, it feels like.
Yeah. Well, there were just so many in free agency.
Yeah.
That, and you look at the number of offenses that struggled due to quarterback injuries. And it's like, if our quarterback goes down, we need to have some sort of contingency. You can't be going out there with no offense.
I think it's interesting. I thought some of the backup quarterback stuff was interesting.
That's interesting too.
Like Jameis to the Browns. Is that a contingency plan in case Watson gets hurt?
I don't know.
Or
I don't know, man.
In case he's bad.
I'm trying not to think about what the Browns are going to do at quarterback this year.
Well, it's easy. Watson's the starter. Jameis is the backup.
Yeah, but I don't want to think about that because it's terrible. It's not a good plan.
The disgusting brothers.
Lamar can finally be RB2.
I do want to talk about Fields because I don't know if we'll get to this on the podcast that we'll record tomorrow.
Where he could end up.
They learned their lesson. Everybody learned their lesson from the Darnold trade, I think.
Yeah.
I genuinely think that like nobody's giving up a second for a guy who's been somewhere 3 years and hasn't turned out. The hit rate's just too low. Nobody wants to roll with that going forward.
Yeah.
And league opinion on Fields, it's like, why would it be high? Outside of draft capital and the fact that he's pretty mobile and he's kind of young, it's like, okay. It's just not a high hit rate move. And even if you're right, which is an insane long shot, like he turns into a franchise quarterback, which is an insane long shot. You don't have him for that long. You have to pay him right away. It's just not a good move. And I think teams just wisened up to that.
It's so funny. I think it's just I should have pounded the table more because it's not really that surprising. But I don't think the Bears have had a good last couple of days, honestly. I thought the Byard signing was all right, but they just signed Jonathan Owens, who's terrible, and Swift, who is bad, and they're not going to get anything for Fields. Like, they're probably set up well anyway. But
didn't they get somebody?
I'm glad
else?
they didn't. I'm sure that they did.
I thought they had like a really big signing. I don't know why.
No, they
Maybe
don't have
Mandela
anybody
effect,
crazy.
They just got Gerald Everett. That's really not crazy.
No, they had all this cap space.
No. It was getting Jalen Johnson back.
True, that was a nice move. That's for
sure. What it was.
But
I just hope that this will put to bed any idea that the Bears should not take a quarterback at one. If the rest of the league doesn't want Justin Fields, that should tell you something.
Yeah, and it always did. I mean, I don't know why this has been this debate that splits Bears Twitter. Like, should we keep Fields or? I remember before the Packers game, I said their decision at one is easy. It's simple,
yes.
And people don't.
The hard part is which quarterback are you taking? That's the hard.
It's not even that hard, really. Like, just take Caleb. It's this is the easiest decision of the offseason, and it was easy. And I got cooked for saying that. It was always easy. It was always very easy. And I don't know. And I think I don't know. It'll be very interesting to see what he actually gets, if he gets traded at all. I think he might just be the backup next year. And then now I'll see the opinion like Fields should. I've seen the opinion Fields should start and Caleb should sit a year. What? What? No.
What are you talking?
Dumb. I just
If you find a tweet of someone saying that, please send it to me.
one of the fantasy footballers said it. They're like they should sit Caleb behind Poles or not Poles. They should sit Caleb behind Fields, win games with Fields. Caleb gets a redshirt year and Fields builds his trade value back up. Win games with Fields? Wait, what? If it was that easy, like, I don't know. I think that it's been a very mid free agency for them. I do agree that getting Jalen Johnson on a contract below $20 million was nice.
Also, that is literally like outside of like that being dumb. That is literally not an option because Fields would be a free agent at the end of next year, would he not?
Probably.
Like you wouldn't be able to you wouldn't be able to trade.
When is the deadline to pick up the option though? He's going into year 4, right?
Yeah, he's going into year 4.
So when is the 5th year option? They have to decide, don't they?
At some point, but
yeah,
I don't know. I just think it was a silly.
That's what I'm saying. Like they literally they can't just be like, oh yeah, build up his trade value. That you can't trade him unless they do pick up the 5th year. Which I don't know when the deadline is for that.
But the plausibility of Fields winning games and then trading him once they win is the FSE. That would also be just a total disaster from like a media standpoint. Because it's like if you take Caleb's and you start Fields and he starts winning, that's not a good like, oh great. Like we can trade Field and then everybody will just want Fields and want like trade Caleb traded on Bears Twitter. Cause I honestly appreciate how much Bears Twitter loves Fields. I would never have expected it. Like he's done nothing but underwhelm in Chicago. And they all just like love him. If you would have told me that like Chicago would embrace him like that, I would have been surprised. But whatever. Did you see the Rodgers for president thing? Rodgers for RFK vice president potentially, which is not surprising, honestly. I mean, it was a little bit surprising, but then when you think about it for a couple seconds, it's like, yeah, this has kind of what it's been leading towards, but like RFK isn't going to do anything in the election, so it doesn't really matter.
No,
it does not.
So
we know how this one ends. Talk about the Lions.
I mean, they haven't done anything too crazy. They signed a Marcus Davenport. I thought that was a whatever answer for that other edge spot. They traded for Carlton Davis, which I thought was pretty decent for them. So they're hitting their areas of need, but it's not like they've taken any kind of big swing. So I don't know. They had a lot of cap room. So I think I'll be a little bit disappointed if they don't leave with any other like surefire good starter.
Yeah, you're
it hasn't happened yet, but Justin Simmons is still out there. A couple safeties are still out there.
I think the interesting thing really is the Wilkins signing to the Raiders. I'm not mad at the move. I mean, I thought Wilkins was maybe the best player that you could actually go get who didn't just re-sign to their own team, unless I'm forgetting somebody.
I would probably say Tyron Smith, like in a vacuum, but he's always hurt and he's old.
Yeah.
But like when he's healthy, I think he's the best. But Wilkins is maybe the like premier player, all things considered.
I guess it's just it's interesting to see how they're going to build that thing out. I mean, their defensive line obviously is going to have a couple of big time stars on it, but they just feel so far away, like we were talking earlier, where it's like you got to take a step back and look at things. Like I'm not necessarily saying it's wrong, but what is the path forward from here?
I mean, if that's how you're gonna build it, I can't say I'm mad at it. Like build it inside out from the trenches. I mean, there's a lot of teams that are pretty good that struggle in the trenches. I can't hate if that's how they're gonna build it out and just say we're gonna have Crosby and Wilkins down there, and you're not gonna be able to do anything about it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a pretty good strategy.
I mean, we saw the 49ers do like let's get the pass rush figured out first and then figure out the rest as we go. Like I feel like that was their kind of number one priority when Shanahan got there. It's not a uncommon mentality, I think. Like let's get like you said, Blaiden, in the trenches, whether it be offensive line or defensive line, like let's get the trenches figured out and then build it out. And they got to start somewhere. So they signed the best free agent available. They have the money. They don't have a lot of other guys to sign. They're not contenders.
Yeah.
So, but you got to start somewhere. I think that contract, we'll see. We'll see what it looks like. I mean, Wilkins, I think part of the reason that he hit free agency in the first place was his game against the Chiefs because it was bad in the playoffs. Like he was kind of terrible in that game and got like killed by Trey Smith. So it's interesting that now he's going to be playing the Chiefs. He's the marquee signing for an AFC West team, but that's just one game. He's a disruptive pass rusher, and they have Kuntz now and Wilkins and Crosby and I get. I mean, I'm not mad at it. I don't think it's hard to have a home run signing when you're a team that's that bad because
I guess they could have signed any
nothing is
star
gonna
player, and I'd be like, well, what about the rest of the team? Yeah, probably.
Mahomes ain't hitting free agency, so it's like I don't know, a bad team trying to get good. They sign, the best player out there. I'm not mad at it. I think.
I think the Raiders fundamentally are a team that should be making a big free agent splash. Just in terms of like that, just seems like the Raiders thing to do. Go pay someone a big bunch of money. It seems right.
It is right. Thoughts on the Giants QB battle between Daniel Jones and Drew Lock?
I know who I'm rooting for.
I mean, Drew, there's no reason why Drew Lock couldn't come in and play as well as Daniel Jones, dude.
I want to see the Jameis 30 for 30 season replicated. And I think Drew Lock is the man to do that. He beat the Eagles. They play the Eagles twice a year. So that's 2 wins right there. I like it. I think Drew Lock has aura. I think that his swag clears Baker's swag. And I'm excited. I think that he was sold in Denver more than many are led to believe. He's definitely gonna not be able to go through a whole season without throwing like a shit ton of picks, but I do think he could go through a whole season and also like throw
a bunch
numbers.
of touchdowns.
I don't know. It's
we
sort
know
of a
both
bit,
of these
but
quarterbacks are going to play at least 6 games. I think.
What if they draft a guy? It gives them, I think, the most interesting quarterback room. What, little Daniel Jones, Drew Lock, 1, 2, 3.
Oh man.
Although I do think maybe this is reading into it too much. Maybe you look at this like that's kind of backup money. Wouldn't it be weird if they had Jones and him and they drafted a guy at 6? Maybe
it's a lot of assets.
Maybe getting Lock is not that serious of an investment.
I don't think it's that serious. I don't know. I think that Lock is a spark plug off the bench potentially. I think that he's a live arm. I think that he can compete with Daniel Jones. I don't know. I liked it, and I think it's very over for New York. I just think like New York is in a shitty situation, honestly. What did they sign Brian Burns to?
That's a 5-year, $150 million, around honestly, right around Daniel Jones money.
Interesting. I wonder if that contract is front loaded or back loaded.
I have no idea.
It better be front loaded. I just think like
imagine,
anything that doesn't. It's.
I assume you're checking spot right.
Yeah. It's kind of even, honestly.
Yeah.
It grows a little bit. It definitely
When is the dead cap
manageable? The potential out is in 2027. I don't know.
Okay.
I just think the Giants are just in a terrible situation in general. And
That's
I think that my thing with them would just be like protect the future cap as much as you can because they're at 6. Maybe they could draft Daniels and everything and he works and everything is okay, but they just have so few building blocks anywhere that I just don't think they can survive.
Well,
I
how is that different
turn
from
this
the
around
Raiders
quickly.
then? And the Wilkins signing, outside of obviously giving up the picks.
I think just because of the new GM and new coach aspect of it in Las Vegas, whereas I think Dable and Joe Schoen are, just kind of in an impossible situation to keep their jobs like long term. So I don't know. The lock deal doesn't really, nothing the Giants do really can move me unless they, I don't know, do something really drastic and crazy because their line sucks.
What if they trade up?
Saquon somewhere else.
If they trade up, that could maybe move me. If they get May, and I would be pretty desperately trying to do that if I was them because I just don't know how they can survive without a quarterback. So
maybe that's why they brought in Locke, so they can trade Locke and Daniel Jones, and then they have enough assets to move up to the top.
Danielle Hunter just went to Houston.
Houston has had a very interesting free agency. I think they've added some good players. Mixon, Al-Shaair, Hunter now. They've been super active 2 years in a row now. They traded for Mixon, which I thought was weird because it seemed like he was about to be released, but whatever, I guess. Danico Autry, they signed, who I think is good. Noah Brown, they retained, who had some big performances last year. They signed Townsend, the Chiefs punter. Like, they've low-key been like crazy active. And now Danielle Hunter, they really
lost someone, didn't they? Who did they lose?
They lost Sheldon
Rankins.
Rankins? Grenard?
Grenard.
Yeah, Grenard. Yeah, they lost Grenard.
To the Vikings, and now Hunter is
that's basically a 1-for-1.
I would rather have Hunter or Grenard than Hunter. So I'll
Grenard
be curious
was pretty
to see
great
if
last year.
How much Hunter got.
They have added a
huge
lot
upgrades
of
over Grenard and Cashman. I don't know about that actually, because I forgot that Cashman went to the Vikings too. What the fuck?
It's just strange because the Vikings don't really need a linebacker, but yeah.
2 years, $48 million, fully guaranteed.
Really?
I don't know. They had all this cap. They were top 5 in cap space. Interesting. I don't know.
Million.
I don't know how I feel about letting Grenard walk and then bringing in.
I don't know. I think Hunter's probably better.
Yeah. I don't know. I think Grenard is a better value though. At age 26, doesn't have the same long injury history. I think if you looked at his pressure numbers instead of the sack numbers, it would probably be, if we'd start to tip in Grenard's favor. But obviously the Texans don't.
It's not that big of a difference in terms of guaranteed money. In terms of the average, Grenard's getting $19 million a year, but he's still getting $42 million guaranteed. It's just over 4 years instead of 2. But I don't know. You could add void years and spread that out. If you really wanted to.
I think it's just a shorter term deal for an older player with more money.
Patrick Queen to the Steelers' thoughts. Roquan covered Queen's faults. I agree that Roquan covered Queen's faults. And the Steelers definitely don't have the same caliber of Mike linebacker, but they have a good will now in Queen, who a little bit easier, as a guy who's on the edge of the defense instead of right in the middle. Like a lot of the times that coverage assignment is going to be blitzing or going into the flat or, a hook zone, not quite as much ground to cover. If you put him in that role, he can be fine. And then you just need to upgrade your mic, right? So as long as they don't like put him, I wouldn't like put him at Mike and then go try to find a Will, I guess is what I would say. But in that role, and it wasn't a very big deal that Queen got. So I thought it was a solid signing. I also I wonder what is a Landon Roberts up to? I thought he was really nice for the Steelers last year, but he's old as dirt. I also can't remember if he's a Mike or a Will to be.
Hunter was 10th in total pressures last year.
He was,
by the way.
Where was Grenard?
30th or 31st.
30th. Oh, damn. That's more of a gap than I thought. Well, maybe I'm just dumb then.
I do think it's weird how many players are going to like division rivals.
It's pretty. I think that's a pretty common thing, just because it feels a bit like a 2-for-1. Like, not only does the other team not get him, he is on our team now, and you'll never get that in like a trade. I feel like that.
Yeah.
And there's information maybe about the coaching staff. I feel like it's very, very tempting to sign guys from within your own division. I see the vision. It happens to the Packers the Packers never do it to anybody, but if a Packer gets released, there is like a 80% chance that he ends up with an NFC North team.
Poyer to the Dolphins.
And speaking of,
Okay.
Poyer is good. I think
If they don't get high,
He's
it doesn't matter.
he's getting up there, man. There's only so long you can do it, but
It doesn't matter if they don't get high. You need both.
You definitely. Well, they have Holland, and I think
but
Holland up
that's not-
top, and like Poyer more as like a box player.
It's not the same, man.
Well.
Poyer and Hyde is the duo.
Hyde and Morgan Burnett is the real duo. If you're real. But
Jordan Poyer and Tashawn Gibson is the real duo.
I don't know. I think that he's got some use in a limited role, but if they're going to be like playing too high and like Poyer's going to be covering like a lot of ground, then he would be bad. But
can the Panthers go 7-10 with this bolstered new O-line? They're going to win 3 games, but like in a scrappy Cardinals way where everyone's like, honestly, haven't they been fighting so hard this season, wouldn't you say? One thing that I thought was interesting, the Giants fans being mad at Saquon for going to the Eagles, I get it. But like, how much do you want him to endure, Like, oh my God.
I get it.
They gave him. He's the highest paid running back this cycle, at least. He got a real contract with real guarantees.
I
behind the much better offensive line on a team that's competing. It's like he's earned it. I mean, maybe I get it's the Eagles more than him just leaving. And like if Cam Newton went to the Saints, I would have freaked out. But I don't know.
I think that I thought it was funny that Tiki Barber said like you're dead to us or something. It's like, bro, you're media. Like, what are you talking about? Like, why do you not understand like what Saquon why it might be an attractive? I don't know. I thought that was
you
kind of a
you
weird
go
thing
get to play
say.
on a team with like with a dynamic rushing quarterback. They have a great offensive line. They know how to run the ball effectively. And
they
they're going to
prioritized him in free agency in a way like no other team seemed to. I don't know why you'd be like that mad at Saquon. I think if anything, you should turn that hatred inward because you gave Saquon nothing to work with after you took him 2 overall. Like, they didn't build an offensive line for him. They didn't add any weapon or quarterback to like alleviate the box numbers.
Nope.
Like, I really think that Saquon is gonna like lead the league in rushing on the Eagles. Like, DeAndre Swift damn near did it, and I know for a fact Barkley is exponentially better than DeAndre
This
Swift is.
this
So,
Eagles run offense this year is going to be lethal.
Bro,
think
you
one
could
can
get
only
you could
hope.
get Drew Lock as the best player on the Giants offense takes off, man. Go crazy.
Oh man, you
Andrew
really
Thomas
could.
standing in the way, unfortunately. But
You know your offense is
That
bad when
offense
we
is going to
start
be
talking
fucking
about.
terrible, though.
that's
as
what
it
I'm saying
stands
about
right
the
now.
Giants, dude. It's like I just don't understand like how their offense could be good next
That's
year.
true. At least the Raiders have like Mayer and Devontae. Like they have guys.
Mayor, we'll see. I don't really see how the Raiders offense could be good next year either. They have
But they-
Luke
they-
Getsy, no quarterback.
Guys.
Was it good last year?
No.
Have they added anybody?
No. Was the Giants offense was bad last year and they lost guys.
And that's why I'm saying they'll suck.
They're gonna suck.
Yep,
They're gonna be
that's-
bad. They're fucked. I don't know what else.
They're fucked.
It's over for them.
You're going to see
Thoughts
what a
on Derek?
non-Saquon running back looks like behind that offensive line.
2
Thoughts on
yards a
Derrick
carry.
Henry? We'll see. I think that that signing doesn't move me as much as Saquon. I do think that Derrick Henry is still a good running back, but like, did the Giants sign John Simpson, the guard?
Yes.
That was a good deal. I think John Simpson is pretty good, and the guard contracts are like absolutely out of control. And wait,
They're absolutely out of control. You can go ahead and name names, big bro. It's all good. 100. That's how
wait,
I
no,
feel
no.
about-
The New York Jets signed Simpson.
Oh, right.
Sorry, everybody. The Giants signed Runyon from the Packers for $30 million. He was bad for us. He was our worst offensive lineman, and they gave him $30 million. Sure, go for it. Just go for it, New York.
Robert Hunt. He seems like look Robert Hunt from what I like everything. Nobody is like, yeah, Robert Hunt's bad. You know, if and PFF likes him and like, you know, but here's what I know, man, is like if it's $100 million contract, this better be like the greatest guard in the league, dog, or like somebody right up there. And it's just not like
He's
that.
ways for good. Right?
It's just all I'm saying is like I thought one of the Dolphins' weaknesses was their interior offensive line. And I thought the same thing about the Seahawks. And we spent $150 million, mind you, that's Brian Burns' money, to go sign 2 offensive linemen from those 2 teams. Now it's not
Right.
that simple, but if it doesn't work out, we're gonna look back and say maybe it was.
It might.
Yeah.
It might have been. But Theo, no, it's crazy. Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson, and Saquon Barkley and Jalen Hurts,
That's true.
bro. These duos are gonna feed nations.
There is a good, nice aesthetic. Henry and Lamar and the Ravens all black. I don't know. I think the Ravens, you know, they took a big hit as we said they were going to. Like both their guards, you know, their wide receiving core, their depth at corner, both of their running backs. I would have just brought back J.K. Dobbins. I don't know.
Well,
Yeah,
Dobbins has just been
for him to
so
play
injured
3
at this point
games.
that I don't know if I can.
I know.
I mean,
Yeah.
It's fine. I think I think it's good. I don't have any problem with bringing in Henry.
Yeah,
Maybe he's got enough juice that he can.
he's getting up there, and we've been saying about this about him forever. Obviously, fantasy guys predict it every single season, and it never ends up being true. And he fits what they want to do. You know, tough in between the tackles. They don't ask their running backs to receive a ton. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
But he is 30 with probably more carries than anybody in the NFL. I'd have to assume
Yeah.
Yeah, I do think the Ravens can give him some like ideal touches though, because just of the way they already can stress out a defense and like spread you out with the way they can move with Lamar and you know they now have some decent receivers. So like you're not. I feel like Derrick Henry's not going to see like the most 8-man boxes in the league every week. You know,
That's true.
so, and then if they do want to stack the box like that, well then Lamar, go to work. You have an 8-man box. Let's get the ball outside.
Theo, I'm a Hawks fan, and Brooks is amazing. Why did we? I don't know what the Seahawks are doing, man. They let Brooks go. They let both of their safeties go. I don't quite understand.
I guess they haven't done much, have they?
No, they haven't brought anybody in. They lost Hunt. I just think like that Brooks, Adams, and Diggs all together are decent coverage player. Like I know that Adams gets a ton of hate. I don't really think he was like atrocious at all in certain roles, right? So I think that those are three decent coverage players up the spine of your defense that are now just gone and must be replaced.
Yeah.
And like this is a terrible safety and linebacker draft. So I'm just trying to think of like, will Mike McDonald just save their defense with scheme? Like who is going to be covering guys? And I maybe I'm missing something. But I'm like,
I mean,
who-
look, your
who is gonna
logic
be
of
covering?
they lost guys and they didn't do anything to replace them. That might make them worse. Yeah.
I don't.
It's gonna be me and you out there, Theo.
I guess so.
Matt, you're replacing
Bush.
Jordan Brooks. Theo, we're rotating at safety. It's over.
So we'll see what they're doing. I also want to
Yeah,
talk
I-
about Washington because they've made a bunch of signings.
They have.
Luvu's a good one. I'll tell
Yep.
you that much, man. That was very strong. I will say, reports are the Panthers did try to keep him, like gave him a bigger contract offer than what he got from Washington, and he just wanted to play for Dan Quinn.
He's never played for Dan Quinn before. He was in
It's
New York
schematically
before.
he wants to rush the passer more. He's a better pass rusher,
Yeah,
and
he
that's
is.
not what the Panthers wanted out of him, I guess. Of course, maybe we could have used somebody who wants to rush the passer because it didn't seem like anybody else does right now. But
Someone had to replace Burns.
yeah, but I thought at the minimum that was a very good signing for him.
Yeah, I think their defensive moves make more sense than their offensive moves. I like Doris Armstrong. I like Jeremy Chin, I guess, in that big slot role. I think that I can see the Dan Quinn defense forming. I think these are all scheme fits, and I think Dan Quinn has some schematic flaws against certain teams that have come to bite him in the playoffs, but on a week-to-week basis, I think that he can build a defense that's pretty good, and I can see that starting to form. On offense, I'm still just not convinced, and this free agency period has done nothing to convince me that Washington is building the best possible offense. Bringing Kingsbury to be the OC, the Jaden Daniels rumors heating up, bringing in Eckler and
Sure. Somebody
Ertz
tweeted out about Eckler and Robinson being the
Mariota.
worst
Why are you?
1-2. Yeah, Mariota and Eckler.
Why?
Good
What?
Lord,
Why?
it's
Why are you
over.
spending any? Why are you spending anything above league minimum on Marcus Mariota? $6 million.
That's
why?
the backup quarterback. That's the backup quarterback take coming into real life.
they
where it's
have
we
Howell.
got to invest in a backup, and then you just give away $5 million for no reason or
Someone
whatever.
Terrible.
It's a
It just doesn't make
donation, man.
right because it's once you get past the 40th best dude, it's just a crapshoot. Just go with the minimum. Keep Howell. Howell played.
Yeah, that's what I was
certainly
thinking.
backup level
Yeah.
ball, and you got him for I'm assuming $1 million or whatever. I don't know.
Chat,
round
let
pick.
us know. Would you rather have Sam Howell or Marcus Mariota? Point blank, money not even. In the
Money not even
conversation.
guaranteed, or not even a factor. You'd rather have Howell, so it's
Yeah.
yeah.
I think Quinn has his issues in the playoffs, and I think his scheme might be a little archaic. He's a little bit obsessed with these weird linebacker types that can't really cover, and I just don't think they're cooking shit on offense. So I'm not a huge fan of what the Commanders are building right now. If they take May, you can maybe sell me. But again, it's I don't know. I know they have McLaurin. I know they have Dotson. I know that their defense will probably get way better than it was. But
Yeah.
I don't think they're laying a groundwork that is making me feel great. Especially because they're Washington, and even though the bad man is gone up top, they're still the Washington Commanders.
Yeah, I don't know.
And
I don't think
I don't
they'll
know
be
if-
the worst team in the division, though. I mean, the Giants are probably worse than them. Honestly, Could they compete with Dallas if they get May?
No.
No. You don't
Not
think
year
there's any
one,
hope?
I don't think. Maybe May just is that fucking guy, but
I don't think
Cowboys,
May is
fall
going to be
off,
some
but
flawless, like, we're just elevate a team that high year one type of dude.
I mean,
even though I
did
really like
what
him.
has Herbert won in all these years?
Well, Herbert, I won't say it, but yeah.
I mean, the Chargers are probably the second best team in their division. So
Okay, well,
I'm just
maybe. I mean, the Raiders beat them to go to the playoffs not that long ago.
I guess that's
Who
fair.
did the Chargers bring in? Who's their Herbert?
They brought in
help?
Gus Edwards, and they brought
Oh.
it, which was so Harbaugh. That was
Yeah, that is the
Like
Harbaugh
Corum
guy.
looking very undrafted right now, I fear.
Corum.
He'll be an undrafted free agent to the Chargers. That's what it'll be.
He won't be undrafted. He won't be undrafted. He's got too many highlights that moved me. I fear, even though the game we watched was kind of bad. But they signed Gus Edwards and they signed Will Dissly and they re-signed Aloy Gilman. I liked that they re-signed Gilman. I think that he's nice. And they released Eric Kendricks, which I think was good because Kendricks was ass last year.
Well, a lot of them were. So
Gabe Davis to the. I have no idea what the Jaguars are doing. I talked last time. I didn't know what they were doing. Since then, they have signed Gabe Davis and Darnell Savage. It's like, they did sign Mitch
yeah,
Morse,
they got an elite wide receiver too, and
I think they just wanted more
hard-hitting
size.
safety.
My thought is maybe they feel like they're not done at wide receiver yet, and they're gonna go try to make another big move. But like, yeah, dude, if it's Christian Kirk and Gabe Davis, I'm not moved.
I am not. I guess Evan Ingram kind of counts.
Imagine if it was Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis, but if Diggs was worse.
Why is Diggs worse?
Because
you're saying like it's like the Bills, but
it's
worse.
it's
T.
diet
Higgins
Bills.
may be a Jaguar. He may be.
He may be.
He may be.
Matt knows that he will be.
Don't say that. That's a crazy way to put it, bro. Look, okay, here's what I'll say. Don't clip this. Don't show this to anybody.
We got 931 people watching. Matt.
We have 900 people in here.
Yeah,
Stop.
he said don't clip this. We got 900 people watching.
Okay. This was like 3 weeks ago, but one of my buddies like went out and was like talking to people. So word on like the street in Cincinnati.
Went out and was talking to people.
Look, I'm just saying, word on
the
the street is his desired destination is Jacksonville. So what I was trying to do is like post it on Twitter, just be like, I think he's gonna go to Jacksonville, so you don't have to give the take and like say that you heard that. But it's
I do think
literally
my
news
buddies,
from some random guy at a bar that I guess could be true because we're in Cincinnati.
I do think that it is good to just say he will be a Jaguar because my buddy in Cincinnati heard something about it. Because if you just say
My
he
buddy
might be
in
a Jaguar,
Cincinnati has confirmed T. Higgins to Jacksonville.
there are rumors on the street. People
The
always say it on
streets.
Twitter. The streets are saying. The streets literally are saying in Cincinnati that he's a Jaguar.
He's a Jaguar. That's
Because
crazy.
like you could be like me and just say like, Derrick Henry to the Texans on a whim, or Saquon to the Eagles, one that I actually got right, just on a whim with no sources as a gut feeling. And then it happens. You wouldn't know if you just guessed right or you actually had sources. So I think it's good to say that, Matt, you have legitimate sources that told you he
Okay.
will be a Jaguar.
Who's a
He
more
will be a
reliable
Jaguar.
source?
We are guaranteeing it. You can report it.
Who's a more reliable source?
Matt's buddy.
Matt's buddy or CTESPN?
CTESPN. It's someone tweeted this the other day, and it was so obvious that I regretted not seeing it sooner. That AB's account is totally bought and paid for by like a meme account. Like it's, and then you look at it, and it's like, oh yeah, like this is very obvious that he's not running it, and it's just like some like, the Instagram accounts that are like, what are some big ones? Fuck Jerry was one. where it's like a corporate meme account, right? There's a couple of them.
Okay.
That's very. And he responded to like in the DMs to like one of those like really bad Twitter meme accounts.
Yeah.
That's totally what's happening. That's
Yeah. I saw the tweet that said that the other day. I was like, this is obvious. This is so obvious. Like people think AB
That's
is just
crazy.
like wilding on Twitter. It's because it's like 24/7. It's like every single thing that happens.
Because it's like
We
all the
expect
things
to
are
believe
like
like AB to actually have like a relevant meme about everything that happens. It's someone pretending to be him, right? While there are 962 people on this, report that fraudulent account and unfollow it because it is. It's fun to believe that AB is absolutely wilding on Twitter all the time. It's literally just like a team of like social media influencers who bought his account. 100%. I 100% guarantee that's what's
That's
happening.
a good bit, though. That's a good bit.
No, it's a shitty bit, man. It's not a good bit.
It's not a good bit.
It's a lot of
crafty
stuff
bit,
where it's like,
but
I think a lot of people only find that stuff funny because it's like, dude, it's AB tweeting it, which is like,
yeah.
I think became old like a while ago now.
yeah. Didn't he call? No, he didn't. His Twitter account did, but I don't think his Twitter account is him at all. I don't think his Twitter account is funny at all. But yeah, I think that his account is bought and paid for by someone else who's not him.
I never thought of that. That's crazy.
Neither did I. But yeah, Daquan is a huge one on Instagram. I think like whoever runs that account probably like also runs AB's account, to be completely honest. But
nuts. Oh shit, we're almost at 1,000 people. That's crazy. What else happened? The Jags also signed Mac Jones.
We talked about that on the podcast, though.
Did we?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we did.
That's where the backup quarterbacks don't matter take is stemming from.
Yeah, we've gone full circle now, and backup quarterbacks used to matter when the Bengals didn't do anything, but now that everyone's doing something, it's like, okay, calm down.
There's like, I think there are only a few who are the guaranteed good backup quarterbacks. I think Brissett is in there.
I think, not to be biased, Andy Dalton.
Okay.
Dalton.
I don't worry about your bias towards Andy Dalton. Don't worry.
Well, he's Panther. I was making a video about this, and I think I took that part out. Was I'm like, for example, like Andy Dalton, and I was gonna like people are just gonna.
Tyrod, I agree. Tyrod's not. Is a legitimate like consistently decent backup.
This is It's very few dudes. It's almost nobody.
Minshew is fine. But yeah, I don't think Mac Jones counts because he was so unbelievably ass last year. Like he was not giving you if a backup quarterback was playing like that, they'd get benched for the third string, right? So
well, a backup quarterback was playing like that, and then they got benched for Mac Jones. True. The whole Bailey Zappi.
Yeah, you're right. Sam Howell soon. We'll see.
Desmond Ridder with the laughing, crying emoji. No, dude.
That's so.
I didn't even want to talk about the Kirk Cousins stuff because it just made me too mad.
Well, we'll talk about Kirk on the pod. I'm sure, and everything else that happens. But anyway, let's. Yeah.
I mean, that's just how it is. Matt Corral. Oh wait. That's really funny, man. Yeah. None of our guys are working out, it seems. But I don't know. I don't think we have a whole lot more to discuss at the moment.
We'll go more in depth on the pod.
Yeah, on the podcast we will. Jordan Poyer to the Dolphins. So I think that'll just wrap things up for this live stream. We will, again, continue to talk about this stuff on the Thursday morning episode. So make sure, if you don't already have notifications on, subscribe, follow on Spotify or whatever. And until then, thank you all for tuning in to this live stream. Over 1,000 of you tuned in. And I know a lot of you came at the end, but, just seeing that. It's cool to see. So thank you all so much. It means a lot. And until next time, we will catch you on the Flippity Flop.